and welcome to On Common Ground with Dusty Keene. I am Dusty Keene, and today I'm extremely excited to see a very good friend of mine, and old budge, Josh King, the Kang. Josh King kicked off his solo career with 2018 Into the Blue. But the North Carolina-based songwriter is no newcomer, and that's for sure. Years before packing into the blue with songs that mix breezy backwoods bounce of Americana with the humble hooks of guitar pop. He cut his teeth as the leader of House of Fools, an indie rock outfit signed to Drive Thru Records label. The six-piece band spent years on the road touring with acts like Jimmy Eat World and Steel Train along the way. Nearly a decade after releasing House of Fools' final album, King returns with The Shed, a solo record that was tracked in isolation, yet is still brimmed with the collaboration and community that once filled his earliest music-making careers. You know, you have – I got to just say a few things. As far as when I first met Josh, and your career goes way, way beyond that. Let me just first of all welcome Josh King. How you doing, baby? It's so good to see you, man.
It's good to see you too, man.
It's been
good to talk to you. I see you all the time because I watch you on Facebook because I have nothing else to do.
It's been way too long for us, man. I feel like we need dinner and a date and to walk in the park and stuff just to catch up. But I missed you, man. I really have, and I'm excited to talk about this new album that you've done, The Shed. But before that, I want to talk a little bit about like how I met you. On the show we interview people who are thought leaders and thought provokers, people who are like heads of their sort of either they're living their dream or they're innovators in their own space. And you certainly are that as a musician. I remember the first time that I saw you play was at Green Street, and I saw House of Fools, and I had heard all this hype around this band, and so I was sort of skeptical when I saw it, right? But then the people packed in, and I saw the show, and I thought, my God, man, this has got to be the best up-and-coming original rock band in the country, hands down, because this thing wasn't just, incredibly great music, and everyone was so tight, and you had this like three-car assault and the harmonies were amazing, but this was a show. Like it people knew how to interact with you on stage, how to interact with the band on stage, and you could tell that hundreds of people in the crowd had not only knew every word to every song, but knew when to clap and when to do these things that happened in the show. And I was just like, wow, this is fucking awesome. And that was my first introduction to you, and it took me a while to finally like get to you and get to know you. And then the first night that we actually met, we had a hell of a time, and I'm definitely going to tell that story about your bar crawl and the first time I saw that. But you've had a career that has spanned a really long time, and you've been a musician for a really long time, and a good one. I mean, you were the band before the thing that you did before House of Fools, well, The Necessary, right?
The Necessary, yeah.
Yeah, that was like, I listened to that the other day, and man, that was really, really great stuff, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
You were kind of being groomed to be a star back then. It seemed like you had everything that you're supposed to have, as well as being an incredible musician. And you were young, man. I mean, you weren't even 21 then, were you? I mean,
fresh 21, I think.
You were fresh, man. Young one. And so
unless we were just drinking illegally.
Could have been, right? I mean, so I'd like to talk to you about sort of how when you first knew that music was your passion, how you got into it, and sort of what led you into being as polished as you were, even at the point of The Necessary, and kind of like go from there.
Okay. Well, I don't. It's kind of tough. I think music really started for me when I decided that I wanted to play music. I started playing piano when I was in fourth grade. It's always been in my family and all that stuff. But I think when I decided I wanted to be a musician was probably through skateboarding. We were listening to a lot of, punk rock and stuff like that. And I think Joel got a guitar and I got a bass because he already had a guitar. If we're going to start a band, somebody has to play the bass, right? So,
yeah.
And it kind of started off as just like a thing we'd sit in our rooms and do. And then it's, we played a couple of shows, and then I think it just kept happening. It's one of those things I've never really thought much about, but the drive and the want to continue to do it just keeps happening. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like, it's just like, well, I guess I'll do this now, you know, or I guess I'll go talk to Dusty on this podcast now about my music. You know, it's like, it's things that instead of saying no, I just go with it, and here I am, you know. And it's been like that through everything with different bands. That's how The Necessary turned into House of Fools, and before that is I think End of the Affair turned into The Necessary, and just kept going. And
So the first band that you ever had, what was the name of that?
we were called the Radio Years.
The Radio Eaters.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
And so you and Joel kind of started this together, started playing together. That was your first band, because Joel was, you know, God, man, he's so talented and so unsung, I think, in a lot of ways, in comparison to his talent. But you can tell when you guys play together just how tight you are. And you can't get that way unless you've spent, you know, hundreds and hundreds of hours together playing music.
Yeah.
And he's also a part and plays on The Shed as well.
Yep.
So that band, the first one, turns into The Necessary. Is that right?
No, it was the Radio Years, End of the Affair, which is an excellent name. The Necessary, then House of Fools.
House of Fools. So House of Fools gets signed. What was that like?
I don't remember.
Because you guys were young, you know.
Yeah, we're actually recording with Jamie King in The Necessary, and at the time I picked up an acoustic guitar. Before in The Necessary, I mainly wrote songs, and then David, Todd, and Joel and Jeff would all turn them into songs. You know, I barely played an instrument, and I was the singer. I didn't play in the band. I played keys every once in a while, but then I picked up an acoustic and started writing these I got The Last DJ by Tom Petty and wanted to write those kind of songs. And On My Way by Ben Queller was one that I was like, I don't want to write this kind of song, you know. And so I started doing that a whole lot. And the keyboard player from End of the Affair was Matt Bowers. And I found out he had this new thing called Pro Tools. And so I ended up going over to his house, and, you know, basically what we do is just record. I'd have a kind of a song, and then we'd record it and turn it and finish it, you know, and get stoned and ride around in his Buick and listen to him. And that's all we wanted from it. That was literally, that was it. It was like, we got to finish this song in one day, got to get all the parts down so we can go get stoned and smoke cigarettes in his big ass Buick, driving around his parents' neighborhood.
And feel accomplished, man. You did something.
Yeah, and I mean that's at the time, that's all, you know, that's all we cared about. But I was recording an album for The Necessary with those guys at Jamie King's place, and I got a call from Richard Rains from Drive Thru. And it was out of the blue. I had no idea. I was walking down the street, you know, like on the phone with him, going, what in the world's happening? But apparently one of our good buddies, Brandon Pegram, sent him a AOL message or something like that with a couple of our songs that we recorded. And he said he wanted to fly me out to California and do a deal.
Wow.
It was just like that. So, I jumped into the plane by myself, flew there, and then I really don't know what happened after that.
And then it was just a whirlwind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're opening up for Jimmy World. You're opening up for, at the time, just like people who were filling, massive crowds, and, were getting incredible radio play. And, and there you were. What were some of the better memories that you had from that experience? Because a lot of bands, that form and that work really hard, they never get that.
Yeah.
and they still would love that. And you lived that really early in your career. What are some things you take away from that, and what's some things that like you look back on and remember as just like really great memories from that time?
I think the best musical experiences came later on because we were good. When
Yeah,
we first started, we weren't that great. We put me and Matt put these songs together, and then we put together a band and bought a van, bought a trailer with all the money that we got, and tried to record an album with a famous producer. And like we didn't even have time to figure each other out. We didn't, none of that. I mean, we knew each other, but figure each other out musically.
right.
Um, so I think the best like musical experiences happen, like shows and stuff like that happen. I mean, later on in our career as House of Fools. Um, I think driving around in that van, I'll never forget that. I mean, you do more of that than anything. You get to know some of your who you think are your best buds. You become brothers with them,
Right.
and you show up at a show, you play. That's just a very small part of it,
And that,
especially back then when you're playing in front of two people, the the
well,
bar,
and sometimes, right? And then
the
sometimes,
bartender and the door guy, and they're sitting there looking at their watches, going,
oh man, when I saw, definitely the height of House of Fools, there wasn't a tighter band I've seen. I mean, man, you guys must have worked your ass off to be that tight. I mean,
we played a lot.
you were
We
so
played a lot, and we got to the point where what you can't do these days is we got together every single day and we played through those songs, and we played nonstop, especially when we were at home and we had downtime. I was writing constantly. I would always have a new song, and then for about 5 years we toured for close to 10 months out of the year,
wow,
and that was playing a show every single night,
yeah.
playing those songs, trying to come up with different arrangements and stuff while we're out. Um, so yeah, we got tight. We got tight. We got really good.
Yeah, and being out there and doing it.
Hmm.
I talk a lot about that on the show. You have to just do it. At that point, you're in it, you're doing it. You really don't have that much of a choice. That sort of made you into the musician that you are today, I guess, in a lot of ways. When you play that many shows, where you have to, you're like you're booked, you're playing, you're
Yep.
in, you're doing it. It just kind of makes you. And at least a big part of who you are as a musician now. Um, Looking back, do you have fond memories of those days, man? Was that all in all? Do you feel like it was a good experience for you?
Oh, it was the best time of my life. I mean, the best time of my uh, younger adult life.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure. I'll never forget it and wouldn't take it back for anything, for sure.
Well, you came back here, and the record deal thing, I guess, goes away, right? And but yet you have this band that's incredibly popular, and you kind of built up, I guess, from a place called Ace's Basement,
Yeah.
which was a place that Joe Ferguson had, and that was sort of like your home base, where you
Hmm.
guys were, you're playing there. You had a place where you could practice, and a place you could play, and a place that you could just fill to the brim with people anytime you did a show, and then that spilled out to bigger and bigger crowds. I mean, I remember,
Yeah.
gosh, the night you played Greensboro, I saw you, there had to be at least 500 or 600 people in that crowd, and it was packed. I mean, it was
Hmm.
wall to wall, and from that point, you kind of changed directions. And I don't know if we've ever really talked about why that was or what happened, if it was just something creatively that you decided to do, or because another band kind of spun out of that, which a lot of people, including myself, this is remarkably good. I mean, damn, that, Roseland was, wow, a different direction entirely, kind of genre wise, but unbelievably great. And that sort of happened from from the House of Fools, into Roseland, which was just amazing. And I
Right.
know that there's still like there's actually some songs that are laid down that were never released from Roseland. Um,
Yeah, we actually have a ton of songs gosh. You know, just 1 second. Let me-
That was and you're also a really good bartender. So I'm going to tell the story. When the first night we met and hung out, Josh goes, I'm going to do a bar crawl. And I thought, that means typically, what anyone else would think that we're going to go hop around some bars. But no, we're in Walker's and Buddy Bell was bartending. And when he hears you're going to do a bar crawl, he automatically knows what you're going to do. Right. And
Right.
I have no idea. So he starts laying out these shots of Jameson, like every 5 feet down the bar. Right. And there's like 8 shots of Jameson on the bar. And Josh hops up on the bar and starts crawling. Right. And he's knocking people's beer out of the way. He'll drink somebody's. He doesn't give a shit. He's taking this shot of Jameson. He keeps crawling. Right. And so while this is happening, all this energy's been built up at the bar. People are like, yes, do it, do it. And he's going all the way to the end. And this dude, I swear, man, in less than a minute, does like 8 shots of Jameson. And then he stands up at the bar and does this like Jesus, turns around, does this like Jesus stance, right? And you just fell backwards, not knowing anyone was going to catch, didn't really care. You just say, boom. And fortunately, there were people right there to get you. You sit you down and you look at me and you go, Buzz, I think I'm going to black out. I was like, I fucking love this guy, dude. That's the bar crawl, huh?
That was the bar crawl. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we had to leave directly after that.
Well, I think we ended up back at my place, and I was having some sort of political discussion or something, and Josh was real tired of it. So that's the night I got to know what a wombat was, right? So the wombat, and you're talking about a change of direction, because people can kind of get heated in political discussions. Well, Josh came in and is not having this, so he runs in. Me and this other person are talking. He runs in. He had stripped down buck naked and just does this dance where his dick slapping up against his belly and shit. And he's like, "Whoa, wombat!" And then runs out of the room. And that ended that discussion right then there.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished, man.
Going back to having fun.
Yes. So I see that all these days you've learned to be quite a bartender, as I just saw there, when you're mixing up a bunch of shit I would never mix up together.
Oh, I'm classy, man. It's a martini. Yeah, I got that.
Oh, see, right. You've gotten a little more distinguished these days.
That's right.
In releasing your solo albums and stuff, becoming a father, getting married. You've had a lot of changes in the past, 5 years, and particularly in the past 2.
Yeah.
And so that sort of, I guess, affected your music a lot because of, what you're going through in life and the changes that have happened.
Yeah.
What sort of, how would you describe I guess in the different genres of music that you made, from kind of emo pop to rock and roll to Roseland, which was, sort of, I mean, it was more Americana, but with a kick-ass band with it. And then into, what was In the Blue, which was a solo album, which was really different. And then now The Shed, which is very different from that. What sort of, mindset are you in now? With the genre of music that you like, when these things happen, are you listening to different music that inspires you, that kind of moves you into a different genre, or is it just more about the way that you feel and what you're thinking at the time?
I think it's more of a, that's a good question. I don't really know, but I think what has always been consistent is the songwriting, and that's the words, the melody can be based off the way I feel at the time, sometimes, as far as the way the music, the whole composition, the production and everything goes, I don't really know. I listen to everything. I don't ever listen to one kind of music all day. I listen to everything. I really do. And I think a lot of it has to do with the people I'm playing with, like this, right now I'm recording some more stuff. I'm recording my OB, the 3rd album. And I really want to bring back a lot of that older feeling like we were talking about earlier. The
Yeah.
more pop punk, the emo rock stuff.
Well, you're so
Um,
good at all of it. I mean, you've got
yeah,
such a versatility to you as an artist,
yeah.
and you've proven that in the albums that you've released.
The
Um,
good thing about being an artist that there's not much expected from me is I can do whatever the fuck I want. So,
all
so I was
right.
like, so I mean, my favorite thing, like I said, you know, it's not like oh, I got to do this. I got to go finish this song. I got to go write this right now because it has to be done, blah, blah, blah. It's never like that. It's more of a, oh man, I really want to go finish this right now, or I really want to do this right now so I can do this, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't really know. I think the best way to explain my songwriting and the way they turn out is kind of like me. I'm kind of oblivious of it. It's just kind of trying to just get it done and enjoy it while I do it.
You, knowing you, you seem to be someone that, I mean, you're one of the coolest, kindest people I know. And you've got such a positive attitude and a positive spin. I mean, in so many different conversations that we've had, or so many different things that I've talked to you about in my life or whatever, you just have a great attitude about it. And you seem to live a principle that I'm writing about now and I'm talking a lot about now. And that is from like your thoughts create your feelings and your feelings create this frequency, which creates your life, right? And so you seem to always be in a really good space with your thoughts and what you're thinking about. And it seems like some of that leads to how you feel, and that leads to the music that comes out of you.
Yeah.
How do you think that's changed or magnified or not with having your first child and being a dad? Because you, in a lot of ways, get to stay. You're with your daughter Lydia a lot. Like so, you know you're kind of the dad that so many hours a day, so many days a week gets to have that experience of just one on one. Which is cool. And I know definitely changed things before. I mean, looking back before Lydia, what your choices would have been, how you would have spent the day versus, now when you you wake up at 7 a.m. and she's rocking the thriller and the other thing that makes music is just plowed it all together. And some of your Facebook posts with that really show a glimpse into what could be for a lot of us fun to see that happen with you. How do you think that's changed and has that influenced your music?
Uh, you know, I feel like now when I sit down to write, it's a little more focused. Because there's a certain time. It's after my family goes to sleep and during nap time. You know, that's when I write. So I do a lot. I have a lot of voice recordings on my phone of getting Lydia to play with something so I can run in the back room and get the melody and guitar part down real fast, and then put it in my pockets and go out there before she freaks out on me, And then when I put her down for a nap, I go out and try to record more ideas, and that's how I've been writing. That's how I've been doing it for the past year, 2 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, this past year, of course, has rocked all of us. It rocked the music industry incredibly, with no shows and um, a lot.
Yeah.
But you also being in a lot of ways a stay-at-home dad and doing that exact thing, turned out an entire album. So
lyrically at first I was, especially when Lydia was laying there in her little ass rocking thing where she couldn't even move. She was just like wasn't even a person yet. It was just like this thing that pissed and shit and cried, and smiled a lot. I wrote so many songs about her but to the point where I was like, okay, I gotta stop, dude. This is annoying. Like if I put out an album like this, people are gonna be like, okay, we get it. You're a dad. Congratulations, you did it. So I kind of had to like take a step back and scrap all that stuff. No one wants to hear this shit.
Oh man, I would love to, but how did this happen where you cleaned out a shed? So walk me through this, like how this album went down.
Okay. So I'm actually sitting in it now. It was a wood shop that the guy who lived here before, I mean, he had this place. It was just plywood on the walls, hooks in it with his, I'm assuming his tools are bodies hanging from the wall. And I, when we moved in, we had so much stuff that we just didn't want to get rid of. We just packed it in. I'm telling you, this place was just packed to the ceiling with crap that we didn't ever come in. I mean, it was just kind of scary in here. You know what I mean? Like spiders everywhere.
Yeah,
But
I had
anyway,
the ribs. Yep.
they all sat there for a year, and finally I was like, this is stupid. You know, that could be a room where I could actually get away and mainly have a man cave, doghouse, whatever it is. And so I just decided to do it. I had a buddy help me. Just took down all the plywood and started from, you know,
Dude, it's got like crown molding up and it's like painted and shit. I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah. There's
A lot of people may or may not know this. You're a hell of a carpenter and do all kinds of shit. Like,
Well, I can't take all the credit. My buddy did a lot of it. So but anyways, that was it. And I decided to finish it up just in time for the pandemic to hit. In February, I had it all finished and I didn't have any equipment. And Mark Cano, we're driving back from Nashville, and he was talking about this 24 track Tascam. And I don't know if you know or not, but Tascams have been around for.
Oh yeah.
Some of the first radio years songs were recorded on an 8-track Tascam, and we put out little albums on that,
Yeah.
So I was like, that sounds kind of fun. And Mark was like, he was like, the idea is so you don't have to get distracted by everything that's in the computer whenever you want to use a program or anything. You can come in here, you plug your shit into it, and put on your headphones, and you can track. Boom. It turns on in 2 seconds. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I ordered one of those in February, at like late February, and I think our last how I try to think of it time wise is we played our last Thursday night at Joymongers March 5th.
Yeah, because
or something like that.
March 14th, 15th, I think was when COVID officially hit. Everything got shut down.
And then it was a stay-at-home order then, right?
Yep.
So it was right before that I got all my stuff, and they told us to stay at home. So I started. There's nothing else to it. I mean, I probably would have built this place, and I don't know what would have happened with it. But I'm pretty, like I said recently, it took a pandemic to get me to actually learn how to track my own songs and make my own recordings because I've always had somebody do it for me.
It's amazing. Like I've talked to a lot of people who are musicians and creatives that in this time had to reinvent themselves and do something out of it, because there's no way you're not going to create, no matter what the situation is. When you're a creative person, you're going to do that. And I think a lot of people have discovered a lot of things about themselves or pushed themselves to learn something new in this time because they just were forced to. Like they would have went nuts otherwise. And you were talking about Americana. We actually had to move a show that I had with Mark here December 13th because again the COVID. But I remember the first show that you came and saw at Common Grounds with Athenaeum played there, and you were like, "Man, I have always wanted to see these guys." You were like a really big fan, and then all of a sudden, it wasn't that much later where you guys were playing weekly gigs together. What a cast that you had there at Joy Myers. You and Mark and Andy, and you had Eddie Walker and Jordan Powers and and Joel. I mean, wow, that is like super team. musicians. And I know that you have to miss getting to play with those guys every week. And then also, you played together as well, doing
Yeah, that's playing with the Finns is that's my full-time job.
yeah,
You know, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if we had kept playing all the time and we stayed busy, I doubt I would be in here
doing
recording music. So I mean, in a way, I'm glad to have the time to do it, but also I miss playing with those guys big time
yeah.
for sure.
Well, we know that that's according to the news now, with vaccines coming or whatever, it's gonna come back, and then everything will hopefully return to normal in a matter of I don't know 3 to 6 months. Everything will be back, and you've been able to play with not only people like Mark, but um, like open up for some amazing musicians in your life. I know that you were heavily influenced by like Tom Petty and Leon Helms, and you've opened up for Leon Helms.
Leon Russell.
That's
Yeah.
Leon Russell.
Leon Russell. Yeah. We, and because of Joe Ferguson, we had we opened up for Leon Russell four or five times. Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah.
The first time was first time he played at Green Street. Joe called me up and was basically, he was just like, "Yeah, Leon Russell's coming here. Can you put something together?" He didn't want it. Couldn't be a house full show at the time because we were drawing big time back then,
Right.
and that would just be awkward. We could have a bunch of rowdy drunk kids in there before old Leon rolls up on his rascal to play some piano, and then so we went with Josh Moore, Ryan Gustafson. I think Phil played drums. We put together a band. And did some cover songs that we thought would be appropriate for that crowd instead of trying to, play original music, play our shit for that crowd. We wanted to, it was more of like a buffer, if you.
But you got
for
that many times. I mean, that's
yeah. But then after that, House of Fools started opening up for him. We opened up for him at what's it called, the Hat Factory in Richmond.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, the Millennium Center in Winston. So,
and your music has influenced people
it's great
to an incredible amount. I mean, House of Fools, you've got people with your lyrics and things tattooed on them. And
Yeah.
Some people would say, remember the time Tom Petty played your songs at the amphitheater? I don't know if you remember telling me that story about old JT thinking that.
Yeah, JT thought I took JT to his first Tom Petty show, and because he heard us play Breakdown so many times in House of Fools, Tom Petty went into one of his most famous songs,
Right.
and JT lit up like a Christmas tree, man. He started jumping up and down. Dude, they're covered fools, man. He was like almost about to start crying, and we had to be like, "Yo, calm down." Pull him in, be like, "This is a Tom Petty song, dude." And he's like, "What? Nah." I think it took him about like 10 minutes to actually believe us.
Right.
We had to talk him out.
Man. He's unbelievable. Well, I hope that, looking back at all of your accomplishments, because we need to sometimes, man, you realize and are proud of what you've done, man. You've influenced a lot of people, and you've always been one that's been super collaborative. You've been one to help a lot of people out. You've helped me out at times when, I needed to have great music and start something or try to have a venue that was a little bit, valid in the community. You would come, man, and bring your guitar and bring the Fools, and you would come and light it up. And you've really given a lot back, and you've really given a lot to where you are, and you've always sort of worked with where you are. And I think that you're just beyond a great musician. You're a beautiful person. You're a great husband. You're a good dad, and you're a lot of things beyond your music. But your music itself, I think, has really, really meant a lot to a lot of people, and will continue to. And it's really great to see that, not only just release another album, but you're already working on another one. You're like a machine, man, and it's not going to quit. It kind of comes through you. And when you get to that level and you start, you know, to have the ability to just play what you feel, and it's always so good. That has to be something that I hope you look at it and say, man, damn, that's enough. You know, I mean, even if more is to come, which it very well may, with that, you know, whatever people think is the definition of success, I think you've achieved it. You know.
Well, thank you so much. Honestly, I've had this conversation before, and I do feel that way. I really, honestly do. I'm happy with what has happened, and I look forward to what is to come. Um, and I think if anything more, it's only up from here. It can't,
Right.
I'm, I just,
We've
it's music. It's
yeah.
fun. It's what I love to do, and it's the easiest thing for me to do. And if people like it, then I'll just keep doing it. And actually, if people don't like, I'll probably just keep doing it.
Keep doing it. Well, you've dialed into something that sometimes musicians can get lost and lose awareness of. Is that it really has to be about the love of it and the moment you're in, you know, and not what you can get out of it, and not what could come of it. You know, you talked about before, the only thing you wanted to do back when you were cutting your teeth and making great shit was sit in that Buick, man, and smoke cigarettes and smoke some weed and listen to what you had done, you know,
Yeah.
you had done together. And I think that if we lose sight of that, then things can either be disappointing or we lose the soul of of what it takes to write that great song, because we're outside of that moment, you know,
Yeah.
and you've been able to stay in that and continue to create in that moment. I think that's really key.
I try to. I mean, I don't try that hard because I don't really have any other option. It's like people are standing outside my door waiting on the next album. I'm just doing it. I'm doing
Hey,
it.
you never know, man. The phone could ring next week, and that's the thing, right? Like, hey, come out to LA. Like, I don't know, man.
You know, in which in the case I'll be like, yeah, sorry, I got to watch Lydia tomorrow. I can't.
Right, right. No, but next time though.
Yeah.
I'll stay here in the shed. I'm good.
Yeah.
What do you think is next for you? What do you hope to achieve next in music for you personally?
I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm just gonna keep recording. I'm gonna keep putting out albums. Talking to some of the guys in House of Fools, talking about doing some more songs with them. Um, I actually talked to my buddy, Tommy, about doing some music with him.
Tommy Simons, just
Yeah, just creating, man. I just want to keep creating stuff.
is there
And
when you say that? Is there any chance that the House of Blues gets back together or does another album?
when we stopped playing shows, the one thing I said, it was like, look, I don't want to break up. There's no need to play a last show so we can play a reunion show next year. It's like
Right.
if we can't get together and rehearse like we used to, and we but we still want to play every once in a while, that's fine. There's no rules to it. We're
Right.
allowed to just do that. So that's kind of what we're doing. I wouldn't even consider House of Fools broken up. Like
Because you're
like
all
we got
family.
together.
I mean, you're all very much still friends and very much still family.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, we're all very, very good friends, and it's just tough to do it these days. And it's hard to be in a band and focus all your energy on it, which I think if you're going to be in a band to try to be successful, that's what you have to do. If you want to be in a band just for fun and go play gigs, that's totally cool too.
Yeah.
But as far as being an original band, I think it has to be, if not number one, definitely number two in your life,
Everything you've
So
got. So, well, on that,
yeah.
what advice would you give to, someone that's out there was inspired by your stuff or is inspired by a band they love and, looking back was, maybe a young you, what advice would you give them as to what it takes or what not to do, what to do? Um,
Don't do any bar crawls.
I disagree, man. That was fucking awesome. No, but is there
Stay
anything?
away from the bar crawls.
Well, there's a lot of stories that we can't tell on here because just that we get us into some trouble. But
Right.
I know this, man. I'm so looking forward to the next time I can see you, hear you live, and hear you play. Um, as far as the shed goes, let's talk about that. Where can we get it? Where can we get your music? Where can we get merch? How can people jump on and help support this time when, we're, especially you guys, especially musicians, can't play out, and it's hard to even get anywhere to promote your own stuff. So how do we find you, and where do we go, and how do we contribute?
For the shed right now, I have a Bandcamp page up. It's Josh King NC, and that's where I put it's $5 for the download. I didn't do any hard press. I didn't do any hard copies. Um, so that's it. I mean, you can go there and you can download it for $5 or donate whatever you want to at Bandcamp, or you can go to whatever Spotify or whatever you got and listen to it for free. Um, just go listen to it. I don't care about the money when it comes to that. I just want people to hear it.
Well, I had this was passed down from my dad. I've got these Bose 900 series speakers and this old receiver, and I just got this killer old like a Panasonic record player that's all being hooked up, and so it's not set up yet, but as soon as it is, it's got a new needle on it, and the first vinyl I'm going to put on there is Into the Blue, and I can't wait to sit back and listen to that, man, on that vinyl and hear the sweetness of it. And I know that you've got a lot going on, man, with it, chasing around a little girl that loves you to death, and making albums and everything else. And I'm really just thankful that you took the time to hang out with me, man, and talk a little bit. I sure as hell miss you. And I
I'm
can't.
having so much fun. It's just like I feel like I haven't hung out with anybody in so long. I feel this is great. So
Next time
thanks.
I'll bring a six pack, dude.
I, I was actually thinking, man, let's do it again, and we can have some kind of drinking game.
Okay,
We
so
can talk
Kelly has one. It's called Shots for Thoughts. All right, and
is this already it's already a thing?
it's already a thing. It's already a thing. It's called Shots for Thoughts, and basically he asks you 10 questions, right? And we can do this and incorporate this as like a B-sides, but he does like 10 questions, and you get like 3 shot options. So one is like a Midori, something awful, and then like a shot of whiskey. And if you don't want to answer the question, you can pass and take whatever shot he chooses. But if you do, you choose your shot. Either way, you're taking 10 shots. So by the end of the interview, it gets really interesting. So
yeah,
we do Shots for Thoughts with you for sure, as a second segment, because that would be fun.
I would love to. I'm totally into that.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Well, hey, man, I love you to death, dude. Thank you so much for doing this. We'll try to pop it out pretty soon, man, maybe tomorrow, and I'll let you know. But I really, really, really am proud of you. Thank you for putting out music, man. Keep doing it for us. We really, really, really appreciate it. I miss the hell out of you, and I can't wait to see your face in real life, man. So keep doing this for us, man. We had thanks everyone for Josh King, the Kang. And look, anything else you want to lead us out or say? Anything you want to say to anyone to? Please have at it.
Everybody be nice to each other.
See that? He's also a guru. Guru Josh King, right here. Check it out.
Hang in there. We'll have some fun again,
Yes. Listen to the shed. It's out now. Check it out. And we'll see you next time on Common Ground with Dusty Keene. We're out. Thanks, Josh King.